what's going on? This is Alertwolf. I've decided on one more show. Now, this show I'm going to review, I talked about it before, it's Transformers Prime. I said I was gonna wait until the season ended, but there's a couple episodes and left, so I might as well just do the season from here. What's funny is I'm gonna be 1 week behind, so this review isn't of last week's episode, last Friday's episode. It's gonna be of the week previous, and the reason for that is, or this week's that just passed, is because this whole time I've been recording that show and watching it, I'd actually been recording the wrong half hour. And apparently the last half hour they show is the week before, which is kind of stupid, and the half hour before that is the new. So I had been 1 week back this whole time, but that's all right. That's all right, you know. So I find that a little funny. But the episode I'm going to be recording. So next week you're going to get 2 reviews of 2 episodes from Transformers from me. So you're going to watch out for that. You're going to get a back-to-back episode. So right now I'm going to give to you Transformers Prime Season 2 Episode 20 called Legacy. And the episode opens up, just to give you I'm going to give you a quick overview of the thing. It opens up with Bumblebee and Smokescreen just racing down the road, and Bumblebee slows down to observe the speed limit, and, you know, basically Smokescreen's character, he's a young guy, basically, and trying to prove himself, so he's almost like a teenager. And he's like, dude, they don't want me to go fast, why give me a speed? Why does my odometer go to 150? So he races around, he almost gets into a car accident. This guy comes out with a crowbar looking to beat the kid responsible up. And, you know, it's not a kid, it's a transformer, so he transforms, and he's like, what are you going to do now, huh? What are you going to do? And then Bumblebee rushes, is like, hey, buddy, you can't hit a human. And then they take a picture and post it on, like, the internet, and they get yelled at for it. And basically, what goes on is, you know, they're yelling at Smokescreen for this, and Optimus is like, no, this is all our faults because we've been so focused on the main task at hand that we have neglected to help him and explain to him why he needs to have a cover and, you know, the rules of Earth. We haven't helped him acclimate yet. And so Optimus has an idea to pair Jack off with him. I'm sorry. I just realized I just said what I said. All right, to pair Jack with him. All right, let's rephrase that. And so, you know, like I said, so they go off and start pulling, you know, hopefully, they're hoping Jack would rub off on him, but what happens is the other way around. His goofing off, Smokescreen's goofing off, runs off on Jack, and they start pulling pranks, and, you know, it's kind of funny. All right. And they crack jokes. And now at the same time this is going on, Megatron is closing in on the next artifact. And he has a plan to distract the Autobots with a decoy device, which he tests, and it works. You know, it works. It gets the Autobots where Optimus was about to to find another location, and they get a signal and they go off. To not a trap, but to an area where it's foggy. They don't know, you know, they don't know where it is. You know, where's the artifact? They're searching for it because it's on a drone that's providing a false sensor echo, and it's blocking communications. So then the real artifact gets located by Megatron, and Megatron's hoping it's another Decepticon weapon of war, and when he looks, it's a sword, and this is their homage to A Sword in the Stone. You know, the King Arthur legend. There's a sword in the side of the mountain, and Megatron nearly shits himself when he sees this. He's like, whatever we do, Optimus must never get his hands on the sword. And then next we go back, and Ratchet figures out there's another signal, and he can't get a hold of anybody. And the only people left are Smokescreen and Jack, and Smokescreen's like, I gotta go, I gotta do this. So, Ratchet's reluctant, and he opens the space bridge, and Smokescreen goes to go in and convinces Jack to go with him, even though Jack thinks they should probably, not do that. So they go, and they see Megatron. And right before this, Megatron tries to pull the sword from the stone, but he can't, because like the sword in the stone, since he's not Arthur, or in this case Prime, I know I glossed over it without explaining it, he cannot pull it off. There's like a force field holding the mountain, and so he's like, fuck it, we'll just take the whole mountain. The Prime really can't get his hands on this sword. And so alright, so back to where we were. They get there, they scope out the place, they notice this right away. Smokescreen recognizes the sword, and he says it's from Solus Prime, and it is the Star Saber. What's interesting to note is the Star Saber has made several other appearances in Transformers shows before, but in one show Megatron gets it, another show after Megatron loses it, it goes to a human. So it's interesting, and it was like mini-cons in some cases. So it's interesting to see that this time this sword is made for Optimus, and it has a power that reacts to the Matrix. What's funny to me is Smokescreen seems to... I think there's another story exactly of what happened with Smokescreen. I'm not sure if he told the whole truth, because there's moments where he seemingly knows things that he pretends not to know. Like, he knew exactly what the Star Saber was, but then at the same time, he may not have known it was protected in the stone, because he rushes in against Jack's advice to wait for backup. He's like, no time like the present. And he goes in like a G-man. He slides in, he takes out 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. He reaches for the sword, and he's not Optimus Prime, so it didn't work. And he gets shot. He's like, oh man. And he gets shot from behind and taken out, and Jack's in trouble, and he phones Ratchet, and then the Insecticons are standing behind him, and so he's running from the Insecticons, and Ratchet needs to get a hold of these guys. He goes, I don't know what's going on. And at this point, the others are starting to realize they're being led on a wild goose chase, and Optimus realizes it. So Ratchet actually just fucking goes and gets him. Opens the space bridge, walks through it. It's like, all right, guys, we got trouble. So they go, and they had captured Smokescreen, and this is the first time Megatron has seen Smokescreen. So he doesn't know he exists. And he's like, who are you, Autobot? And he's like, oh, who are you? And he wouldn't tell him. He's like, you're about to die. And then the next thing you know, and at this point, they're lifting the mountain. They just started to lift the mountain, and they're taking it away. So all of a sudden, bang, 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 they come out shooting, and the Autobots attack. And then, very quickly, Megatron realizes, he's like, wait a minute, where's Optimus? And then Optimus... This part right here has to be one of the most epic things I've seen in this show. I mean, the show is pretty awesome. This is one of the most epic set of scenes I've seen in a long time. Optimus is in truck form, driving up the hill, up a mountain, so he can catch this floating mountain that's being held, because they're flying it away, and inside on the bottom is the sword. And so Megatron and 2 of the goons, not real Decepticons, just the minions, fly off and try to shoot at Optimus, and he's dodging and weaving and jumping and doing all sorts of things, and he finally jumps off the cliff, and Megatron manages to peg him, but it didn't stop him. He lands on the sword. And for a second there, they fly past, and he's just holding on. And the sword activates and glows blue. And he falls down, and he lands, and boom! A big crater where he lands. He lands like he's a freaking Saiyan or something. You know what I'm saying? This is epicness unfolding. He has the sword. It's glowing. And Megatron's like... His face, it's like, fuck. He's like, drop the mountain on him. You know what I mean? He just dropped the mountain on him. So the mountain falls, and it starts to roll down the hill at Optimus Prime. And Optimus, like he's freaking Link, he sees it coming. He's not even worried. He slices the mountain in half. It cracks and splits open. And everybody's shocked. Megatron's face is like... and he shits himself. And then, in a pure Legend of Zelda Link move, he does the spin attack followed by, the sword throw energy blast slash at the ship. And Smokescreen's like, he can do that, and it smashes the back of the ship. And then, at this point, we have one of the most crazy things. Megatron looks at the camera, and he's like, Decepticons, we face our darkest hour. He is literally shitting a brick right now that Optimus is this fucking overpowered. And then they go back to the base, and Smokescreen says it. He's like, that was epic. Like, they knew they wrote an epic scene, and they said it was an epic. So, he comes out, and immediately RC starts ripping Smokescreen a new asshole, like a mom angry because he endangered Jack. And Jack's like, it's my she tells him to shut up. She's like, she orders Ratchet to open the spray fridge and tell him to go home. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Right now, you're getting it. And Jack just puts his head down and keeps going. Ratchet didn't even say anything. Ratchet always says something. He didn't say a word at this point because she is pissed. And she rips this kid a new asshole, or a new intake. Or, no, technically an asshole would be a new muffler. There we go. A new tailpipe. And Optimus, like a freaking boss, puts the sword down, and he's like, because she said he endangered, Jack, and he's like, endangering humans or anybody will not be tolerated. Am I understood? And he's just standing there like a boss with his sword to the ground, like, what? And I'm gonna say this, Optimus is a little scary with that sword. I don't know if maybe having that sword might be a bad thing in the end, because he is just freaking almost evil with it on the badass radar. Like, Optimus just shot up, and then all of a sudden the sword glows, and it's a surprise because Optimus looks at it like, oh, I didn't do that, did I? I'm not that mad at the kid. So he picks up the sword, he looks at it, and his eyes start glowing as the same color as the sword. And Ratchet's trying to get him, and he's almost in a trance. And he's like, I'm receiving a message from Alpha Trion. And they're like, what? And that's how the episode ends. Now, you guys at home, you might be watching this, and you've already seen next week's the next episode. Don't tell me. Don't spoil it. Don't put it down on a comment if you know something that I don't know yet. Because Friday, I'll watch both episodes and put out both reviews back to back. So don't ruin it for me. I only have a few days to go. But that being said, I'm giving this, man. I love this show. To me, this is next to Generation 1 and Beast Wars and maybe Beast Machines, the sequel to that. This is up there, man. This is like top 3 shows, if not better than the original show. And the original show gets me on nostalgia, and the voice acting, but there was a lot of bad, there was a lot of mistakes in that first show, and it was very corny. This is not that, and this is probably the best Transformer in years, and arguably the best. So this episode, the beginning was funny, and it made me laugh, and it was practical jokes, and it was a little slow, and then the middle picked up, and it hinted, that Megatron's afraid of the sword. Megatron's afraid of Optimus getting the sword. Megatron's actually terrified. He even said to remove the mountain. So this was getting good, and there was a little bit of tension, and you weren't sure if they were going to make it in time. And then, bam, with the epicness that kicked this episode up like 3 notches, and then the end with the reveal that Alpha Trion has sent them a message. And I've been looking forward to Alpha Trion the moment they mentioned him with the introduction of Smokescreen. So, I'm gonna rate this. This is up there. This is a 5 out of 5 for me, baby. This is epic. This is an amazing episode because of its epicness. It would have been like a 4 had it not been so freaking epic. I'm gonna normally all right. Let me talk about my reviewing because I've done it a while. I'm gonna use a 5-point system. I hope I never give anything a 1 or a 2 for real, and it's gonna go horrible, bad. Well, you know what? Bad, horrible. Good, better, best, basically. And what I mean by that is, by best, I mean amazing or epic. That's what that means, amazing or epic. And this was epic, and it was amazing at the end. And that's what I mean. So just to let you know, that's how I'm going to be doing things. You might hear me use the words. You might see me and then say a little bit about the numbering. So this was an amazing episode. This was great, and so I've said enough. I am going to give you 2 next week on this. So this is the 3rd show I'm doing, and I cannot wait until I find an anime to review as well. And so this is me saying, click it up if you like it, comment if you must, subscribe if you can, and this is Alert Wolf signing off.